Hi guys, welcome in if you are a first time viewer. Welcome back if you are a returning viewer. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscribes, and to those of you who have booked a personal reading with me. Please keep in mind that these are general messages, so do not take them personally. Take the messages that resonate and leave the rest behind. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can find the information in the description box below. So let's get into a message. What message do you have for the collective at this time? Help me to articulate a clear, concise message in order for it to be received in the way that you want it to best be received. Help me to see what it is that I need to see to get the message across as clear as possible. And help me to deliver any messages that you deem worthy in order to serve your highest good, for the highest good of humanity with harm to none. What messages do you have for the collective at this time? Okay. So there is a certain level of openness, a certain level of vulnerability that you are learning to experience at this time, right? This almost feels like you having to unlearn and relearn certain aspects of yourself, certain aspects of your being, certain aspects of how you give and how you receive, what you give and what you receive, right? It's almost as if you are trying to find the confidence, or not even the confidence, but you are trying to build your strength within accepting certain levels of unconditional love, right? Almost as if you are, again, learning how to kind of transform your experience within how you give and within how you receive, right? And so this may, again, require a certain level of shedding, right? Again, releasing certain mindsets, releasing certain perspectives that you may have on how you give and how you receive. Not even just love, but how you give trust, how you receive trust, how you give and receive your faith, how you give and receive your perspective, right? How you give and receive respect in general, right? How you give and receive your truth, right? But there is definitely an energy here of a shift within what you may have experienced in the past as opposed to what it is that you are now experiencing within this new phase. Because remember, we have definitely stepped into a new cycle, right? The energy has shifted many times forward since the 8-8 portal, right? Since Lionsgate. And that frequency is kind of showing you, is emphasizing ways that you were existing within your past that are no longer going to be beneficial or no longer going to be able to work within the future that you are trying to pursue, right? Even in the present moment, right? Those things are no longer fitting with what it is that you're trying to create, right? So there definitely is a shedding process going on. Again, shedding certain perspectives, shedding certain mindsets, right? And so that's what this grief card is giving me. It gives like loss in that aspect, not loss within a person, not grieving as in a sense of losing a person, but grieving as in a sense of kind of moving forward from a past way of being, right? From a past way of thinking, from a past way of existing, from a past way of experiencing, right? Within, again, the things that you think, within the way that you give and receive love, respect, honesty, truth, right? It's almost as if you are, again, learning how to rewire what it is that you thought was healthy. It's like shifting from what you thought you wanted to going from what it is that you truly need, right? Because sometimes those things don't truly align, right? Sometimes our wants don't necessarily align with what it is that we truly need, because we sometimes focus on filling a craving as opposed to fulfilling our health, right? And so this new frequency is definitely putting you in a place where it's now more beneficial for you to put your health first as opposed to fulfilling your wants. Not now, that does not mean that your wants will not be fulfilled, but your needs are now in a place of coming first as opposed to your wants coming first and your needs coming second, right? So let's clarify a little bit to see what comes out. Again, this new phase is definitely asking a new version of you to present itself, right? A version of you that you have never experienced before. And so that, in a sense, is going to cause grief, because you are learning how to exist in a world that you've never experienced, right? You've never been through certain things. You've never had certain you've never received certain things, right? And because this new space is asking you to kind of expand yourself in that way, again, because you are distancing yourself from your past in a sense, not necessarily completely disconnecting, but again, removing yourself from certain mindsets that your wants should come before your needs, right? Maybe how you give love, maybe how you receive love, right? Again, honesty, truth, all of those things, currency in general, right? What you thought was going to work out for you, what you thought your wants were not as beneficial to you as your needs are presenting themselves to be, right? And sometimes that can be a hard thing to accept, because sometimes when things don't show up the way in which we perceive they should, we can sometimes deem it as not enough, or as we sometimes don't necessarily know how to quantify something because we don't have that past comparison of value, right? Oh, excuse me. All right, clarify sacred lust. Clarify sacred lust. Okay, the Knight of Swords came out. I put it back and then it came right back out. So, right, this is like, this is like a quick fix, right? Quantity over quality. How can I put this into words? it's almost as if, like, again, learning how to get used to not experiencing, how can I put this into words? Learning how to not perceive the quantity of something over the quality, right? Hold on, give me 1 second. Right. So definitely, again, learning how to not receive a mass amount of something and think that that justifies its worth, as opposed to really evaluating the depth in which it carries, right? To measure the value in which you are receiving, right? So again, just in a general sense, right? If you are, again, quantifying like the amount of conversation you're receiving as opposed to the depth of conversation that you're receiving, right? That's quality over quantity, right? You are measuring how often, right? Even if the conversation never even reaches any, again, never reaches any, it never goes below the surface, right? But you're measuring the fact that that conversation is consistent. You're measuring the fact that that conversation, again, this is just an example, but you're measuring that conversation, the amount of it, over the depth of conversation in which you receive, where the depth of conversation that you are receiving from another aspect may be adding more value to your life because it is bringing different shifts, right? It's bringing different perspectives, right? It's adding knowledge, right? It's giving you that a certain level of awareness that quantity is not bringing, right? So definitely learning how to measure the difference between the two, right? You don't want to measure the amount of something as opposed to the depth of something, right? Because those two things are completely different. So it's definitely referring to that as within a sense of like openness, right? You don't want to, like say you are working a job, right? And they pay you $10 a day, right? And then you get another job where you're receiving more money, but you only get paid once a week, right? And so you having to learn how to really understand the value between the two. Not to say that that will be your story, right? Again, this is a general message, so it's going to resonate for everybody differently. But that's the frequency here, right? Again, that can be related to your mindset. That can be related to your lifestyle. That can be related to the connections that you're building. That can be related to the career that you're pursuing, right? That can be related to the addictions that you're feeding, right? The cycles that you're existing in, right? It can be a multitude of things for each of you. There are more than one person watching these videos, so apply the messages how they resonate, right? But it definitely is just referring to quality over quantity. Give me one more card for Sacred Less. And that's the difference in what you're learning. Don't eat that. The Ten of Pentacles, right, which is the quality, right? The Ten of Pentacles is all things in one, right? It is everything, right? It's the impact of your legacy, right? The impact in what it is that you're building, what it is that you're creating, right? Again, the impact, the depth of something, right? The quality of something as opposed to receiving something in a large quantity, right? Because just because you receive something within a quantitative matter, right, that does not always mean that it is of equal or greater value, right? And so that, again, learning how to be open with yourself, learning how to understand that value within yourself, within what it is that you're giving and within what it is that you're receiving, right? The King of Cups. And this can also refer to your emotions in a sense, right? Like, how are you making yourself available to yourself? Right? How are you pouring back into yourself? Right? How are you pouring back into those connections that you are investing in, whether that be friendships, business partnerships, acquaintances, family relationships, romantic partnerships, right? Relationships with, again, your health, relationships with your mindsets, relationship with your environment. How are you pouring into those things, and how are you expecting those things to pour back into you? Or not how you are expecting them, but what is the standard that you are setting for yourself to receive those same efforts in return, right? Clarify grief. The Sun. Things are being revealed to you, right? You're more open to letting go, right? It seems that you are in a space of being more open to this shift, right? Because for one, you're aware of it. You're aware of the change that it's going to bring. You are aware of the necessity in which this transformation is going to have for you moving forward, right? With the Knight of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Give me one more card for grief. The High Priestess, right? That's that awareness. You have a deeper level of understanding, a deeper level of insight. And there's also a deeper level of growth, right? With the Nine of Swords. This is almost as if you understanding the importance of change, you understanding the importance of transformation, you understanding the importance. You have again, this is the depth of knowledge, right? It's not just the amount of knowledge that you have, but there's the depth of understanding that you have within this knowledge that is giving you a greater understanding of the importance of moving forward, which is in a sense kind of making this transformation a little bit smoother for you, right? Because again, you have that certain level of awareness that what you give, what you receive, right? How you were experiencing the past is not how you are going to experience your future, right? The things that you were, how can I put this into words? It's almost as if like what you were receiving in the past was quantity, right? What you were receiving in the past was a large amount of something, right? You may have been receiving a large amount of connections, right? You may have been receiving a large amount of opportunities, but those opportunities never really took you to the place in which you were desiring to go. They were just kind of quick fixes to kind of fill the space of time. Whereas now you're moving into a space where the opportunities in which that are going to present themselves to you are going to carry you on the path in which you are trying to create for yourself, right? And so again, that's quality over quantity, right? You're not just spending large amounts of time trying to create something in order for it to not mask the results in which you're trying to receive, right? What you're getting ready to experience, or what you're experiencing now in this new phase, is new opportunities that, again, are going to help you forge that path in which you're trying to create, right? They're going to help to bring you a different level of knowledge, right? For you to be able to apply that wisdom to, again, help you forge that path towards your desires. So again, it's not so necessarily your wants over your needs, but more so your needs over your wants, although your wants are still being fulfilled, right? Because again, you have a deeper level of, there's a connection to the universe, right? To the synchronicities in which you receive, to the sense of enlightenment in which you receive, to the things that bring you warmth, to the things that bring you security, right? There's a different, again, awareness and knowledge in which you have, and how to align yourself in certain situations for you to receive the necessary quality that is required of you in order for you to achieve that certain level of quantity that you're desiring to receive, right? I hope that made sense. Clarify brazen. The Two of Pentacles, right? Bringing balance and stability to the life that you are trying to create, right? The King of Pentacles is the tradition, right? The King of Pentacles is the family man. The King of Pentacles is the provider, right? The protector, right? The one who has an abundance of resources. The one who has not only acquired an abundance of resources, but also provides an abundance of resources. They know how to protect the abundance of resources, right? They hold very strong values, very loyal, very committed to the accumulation of family. The King of Pentacles is loyal to the accumulation of quality, right? Not quantity. Although he receives a desirable amount of quantity because he's so committed to the quantity, right? I hope that makes sense. Again, so it's not just the amount, but it's the depth in which you are putting effort towards, right? So again, the depth of friendships in which you're requiring, right? You're not requiring to have 100 friends who you can't trust, as opposed to having a handful of friends who would risk their lives for you, right? Again, that's just an example, right? But that's literally the frequency of this message, right? It's not just about acquiring a multitude of things, but it's the strength, it's the power, it's the value in which the resources you are obtaining, that is the measure in which you are placing your value on now. And that is also the lesson that you are having to learn, right? Because in the past, again, you may have been in a space where you were focusing on the quantity of something, whereas the quality wasn't as good, right? And so even though you were in that place of receiving mass amounts, it just wasn't really fulfilling to you, because nothing in which you were receiving was achieving that bountiful harvest that you were desiring to receive, right? Again, the Hermit card at the bottom of the deck, I didn't even see that. It's you following your intuition, right? There's a lot of spiritual frequency here where you are more in touch with the fulfillment of your spirit, the fulfillment of your soul, right? The fulfillment of the depth of your being, as opposed to the fulfillment of the flesh of your being, right? I hope that makes sense. You're no longer just feeding the craving. You are now fulfilling, you're feeding the soul, right? Sorry. Give me 1 second. But yes, that is the message. So let's pull 4 cards to see what is the major lesson we can receive regarding this message. 1 card for the opportunities we can create surrounding this message. 1 card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. And 1 card for the new cycles and habits we can innovate to contribute to our growth and expansion surrounding this message. This is a beautiful message. Again, this is you learning the depth of transformation within you, right? You're no longer making small changes that don't really have an effect on your life. Now the changes in which you're making are qualitative, right? They're fulfilling your spirit, right? They're transforming your life on a deeper level, on a much impactful level, as opposed to you just, that's like you Seeking adventure, you seeking new opportunities, you seeking spontaneity within a sense of making small changes within your day, right? As opposed to making large changes within your being to make transformative shifts that bring you those new experiences, that bring you those essences of spontaneity, that bring you those new adventures and existences, right? New experiences, new relationships, connections, perspectives, mindsets, choices, all of those things, right? Opportunities, right? So it's not just you waking up and saying, I'm going to do something different today to spark up my life. Although sometimes that's necessary, those changes don't always bring a depth of transformation within you. Right now, you're more focused on the depth of transformation that is occurring within your reality, right? And that's where this shift of transformation is happening, right? That's where that paradigm shift is happening within your existence, right? Because again, you're no longer focused on scratching the surface, but you're focused on the judgment card, fulfilling a deeper sense of purpose, right? Fulfilling your soul's true desires, right? Really romanticizing like every aspect of your day, right? Not just looking for romance within a specific partner, but finding romance in just the moments of stillness, right? Within observing the beauty of life, within observing the beauty of creation in general, right? Admiring the work of God in all things, right? In all of you, in all of the things that you experience, right? In all of the conversations you indulge in, right? In all of the foods that you eat, right? Because you're now learning how to appreciate, again, the quality of life as opposed to the quantity of life, right? Because again, the value of your life is not solely focused on the quantity, and it's also not solely focused on the quantity. It is the combination of two. However, the quantity weighs more heavily than the quantity because the quantity won't necessarily equal the quality. However, the quality will also bring you the quantity, right? I hope that makes sense how it's coming through. I'm trying not to like confuse you, but there is like that, again, that certain level of like purpose. There's a mission in which your spirit is trying to fulfill, right? There's a mission or a desire that your spirit is calling for, right? It's almost as if like nothing else can fulfill, and it's not even like a craving, it's like a spiritual desire. Again, not only something of true depth can fulfill, right? Because not everything has the ability to kind of scratch below the surface the same way these certain transformations will be able to, right? I hope you really I have faith that you will. Whoever the message is for, they will completely understand how it relates to them. And if it doesn't resonate for you, then this may not be your reading. One card for the major lesson we can learn surrounding this message. One card for the major lesson we can learn surrounding this message. Your life is a canvas with star ancestors at the bottom of the deck. Right, so again, that's that certain level of wisdom, the high priestess energy. That's kind of what this frequency is giving. It's giving it's giving the sun and the high priestess, right, where you are in that space of transformation, letting go or moving from one phase of being to the other, right? Also the scarcity card, you see the sun and the moon, the balance between the two, right? Learning how to transform, learning how to kind of remove yourself from those things that are no longer fulfilling to the desires in which you're trying to achieve, right? Removing yourself from those things that just kind of scratch the surface, but they don't really bring fulfillment to your spirit, to your soul, right? They don't really give you that that certain level of wisdom, right? Because, okay, so also like you can, because this is how it's kind of coming through, right? You can receive information all day, right? People can come and give you conversation. You can kind of like you're in a constant state of receiving information. But what is the quality of information that you are receiving, right? Are you receiving gossip? Are you receiving false truths? Are you receiving opinions? Are you receiving things that don't really add value to your life? Or are you receiving information that will help to strengthen your gifts? Are you receiving information that will help you to create new opportunities? Or are you receiving information that will give you more knowledge that will help you to enhance your skill set, right? That will give you the fuel that you will need to kind of apply that wisdom to your life, right? One card for the opportunities we can create surrounding this message. Water your garden, right? With forge, don't follow. So again, creating that path, really unlearning and relearning things that are no longer working for you. Unlearning and relearning the difference between your wants and your needs, right? Unlearning the space of really just feeding the craving, right? Because a lot of times when we feed a craving, it's not even necessarily something that's healthy for us. It's just something that is that we may need to kind of feed our flesh. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you should starve your flesh, because then that would mean that you were ignoring a certain part of you, right? But you should not overly indulge in the fulfillment of your flesh, because then your spirit is completely abandoned, right? Just the same way as you should not overly indulge in the fulfillment of your spirit, because then your physical body will be abandoned, right? You have to find an equal and healthy balance between the fulfillment of both worlds, right? And again, that's the kind of transformation that you are learning how to exist within, right? Again, it's not just the amount of conversation that you're receiving, but the knowledge, the wisdom, the opportunity, the depth that you are receiving from certain conversations, right? And in essence, that doesn't mean that every single conversation you should have should be one of a deep message that just opens your perspective, but you should be indulging in those more often than you're indulging in gossip, right? So definitely keep that in mind. One card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. One card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. The Void. Star Ancestors is back at the bottom of the deck, because this is your level of creation, right? Again, that paradigm shift. That is in essence what you will be creating within this space, right? Are you creating in this empty void of space? What are you creating, right? The cosmic womb is a space for you to give birth, to create life, right? To manifest different existences, manifest different experiences, right? Receive different perspective, right? Gain a different level of insight that again is more so focused on the depth as opposed to the amount, right? And one card for the new cycles and habits we can innovate to contribute to our growth and expansion. The Courageous Peony. Let yourself be seen. The Seeds of Mintaka, seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. Right? So again, that's that balance. This is the unconscious and this is the conscious. Right? Finding the balance between the two. Over putting your learning how to, or creating the space, right? To kind of bring your subconscious to the forefront, right? Because again, that's the spaces in which you create from. You create from the subconscious and the conscious, right? You need the balance of two. But again, also being aware, also that the impact in which you are creating will have on your life, right? How the small choices and the big choices will affect the future of your being and what it is that you're trying to create, right? But that is the message that I have for you guys. I hope that it resonated. I know that if you made it to the end of this video, you have found something in it that is worthy and valuable to you. Please don't forget to hit that like button, press subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.